All right, IGN is continuing on with our releases of the Outer Worlds 2 coverage. So we got two more videos that I want to check out today. This is the most recent one. Look at its expansive world.
Now, we're here to talk about worlds,
see
the open zones and regions across the different planets and moons that make up your journey in the Outer Worlds 2.
I wonder if it's going to
This
be
time
more
around, they're noticeably
expensive
bigger,
than
but bigger doesn't
the
always
first
mean
game.
better. So I talked with art director Daniel Alpert and game director Brandon Adler about how they're rewarding exploration, creating dense environments, and thinking about level design this time around. And we dig into the trenches of Golden Ridge for a first look at one of the new regions you'll explore and what that can tell us about the open zones to come.
Why does that look like Avowed? Looks like they took Avowed, like one of their maps, and just tossed
Look
it in
at
here.
one of the new regions you'll explore and what that
Imagine if it's the future of the planet of Avowed, and we just land here, and this is what we see.
could tell us about the open zones
That'd
to
be
come.
funny.
We're definitely going more expansive than the first game. First game, we were very confined to like smaller hubs, overlands areas. Now we're utilizing Unreal Engine 5. We can have way more expansive worlds. From point A to point B is a much larger territory that we can cover. And in between those areas, we have lots of like little POIs and tinies that we can explore.
Yeah, I mean, to piggyback on that, one of the very first things that we were targeting when we started the Outer Worlds 2 was to make these big, large, expansive areas. Really, it's what players kind of told us that they wanted the most out of the Outer Worlds 2, right? So, working with Daniel and the other directors, we sat down and we came up with a plan to how are we going to go do that, right? So we made.
As long as these open worlds actually have things in them for us to do, see, and interact with, NPCs, random events that make sense. Otherwise, if it's just an open world with a barren landscape, just trees and foliage, and that's it, you don't find anything, that'll be a drag. I'm not crazy about open world games. I enjoy them to an extent, but I do get burned out pretty fast if there's nothing like too interesting about it.
Made sure that with big open sight lines, and that we spent a lot of time and effort on making really cool looking POIs, point of interest, at distance to really kind of draw people and really also maybe kind of bring them off the beaten path a little bit. When they're heading over there.
I love when you like go out of a building and then you just see expansive buildings far, far away that you can actually walk to. I think Breath of the Wild had that the best.
We made sure that as you're rounding corners or you're doing things like that, you see like little pops of interest. And so, being able to
what is that gas to the right there? What is this?
Kind of draw the player in those different directions. But another element that was also kind of really important as we're kind of doing all of this stuff is making sure that it was very interesting when you get there. So we made sure that we blanketed all of our areas with just cool, fun stuff to go do. Nice loot.
I wonder how many areas
cool stories to go
that they're working on.
Golden Ridge is an area on the moon of Dorado within the Arcadia system.
What is that little caterpillar?
The Protectorate faction.
Gross.
It is rich with resources, but not teeming with life. So the water is poisonous. It's desert-like, but it has this kind of arid appearance. But as I said, it's really rich with resources, and this has caused factions to fight over this landscape.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, the resource itself, Zeranium, is new to the Outer Worlds 2 and what that means, but it's the thing that powers all of Protectorate society. All the auto mechanicals and their major machines kind of run off of this stuff, which is one of the major reasons that everybody's kind of fighting over this. So that's kind of Golden Ridge's thing. Right, so you're going to get a lot of the same types of things, that we had in the first game, right? So you're going to have cool side quests, interesting characters to kind of go and meet and do all of that stuff. But we also made sure we added in a lot of cool little things for players to go find that are little collectible type things. We have these toss ball cards. We had a few of them in the first game, but we've added a ton of those things. You can collect them. You get cool bonuses for having that stuff. And again, another thing that was really, really important to us early on is making sure that we are telling cool, fun stories as well. That's part of the reward is you go into these areas and you get to learn about the different NPCs that were inhabiting these areas, the different different characters you're just going to kind of go and meet throughout this whole thing. So that was another big thing, that there's not just a material reward, but it's a cool, fun story reward that just really enhances the whole process. One of the things that we do before we get into any area is we just have deep conversations about the overall story, not only just with the overall story itself, but the factions and kind of what they were doing, what's important to them. Why was anybody in Golden Ridge? And that kind of really sets the stage when we go to the artist and we're like, okay, there was a fight here. Here's what they were fighting over. Here's kind of why this ended up in the way that it is. We want the trench lines here, maybe for gameplay reasons, but here's why it makes sense story-wise. And then what usually happens at that point is,
I'm gonna be real. This whole area looks really boring right now. What they're showing on screen, I'm sure there's more to it. More like inside buildings we get to explore, raid and attack. But right now, this is kind of boring. Barren landscape.
the pods, mixtures of area designers, narrative designers, environment artists. They kind of get together and really kind of discuss, okay, well, like, here's the broad level idea. How do we get to like the core idea of like what is in here, the cool, fun little stories that we can tell with that backdrop. And that's usually how we kind of go through our areas and kind of
wish they showed us more of what's in this like building structure here. I think this looks like pretty interesting. Again, that idea of larger landscape and backdrop.
That's usually how we kind of go through our areas and kind of set that stuff up.
Okay, here we go.
Intentionally design each of our worlds to feel different from each other.
Is this the same world or no? This is from
on a new moon or new area.
What are they showing us?
So it shouldn't be like you come here and it's like, it's a little bit more of the same. No, this is completely different from the last moonscape you just came from. And the next one you're going to be visiting is completely different as well.
That said, like, one thing I think that is going to really pop to people when they first get in there, and it would be super noticeable, is we have these big open areas, and Golden Ridge may be like the most open out of all of them. I mean, it's huge and it's vast, and it kind of gives you a cool feeling of like, man, this is a world I can go and explore. And you can see again all of the nooks and.
You guys remind me if we get vehicles. We didn't in Outer Worlds 1 because the worlds weren't that big. I don't know if they mentioned vehicles at any point
everywhere
at all.
Lots of cool things off in the distance to just like, I'm gonna go see that thing. I think that's gonna show up almost immediately.
Maybe a jetpack.
I won't get into what happens at the
Fast
beginning of Golden Ridge.
Is always fun.
But there's a big state change in the area that where you first get over there. It's gonna kind of blow people away, and it's gonna make them again really want to go and investigate what's happening and all of that stuff. And you see that throughout a lot of our areas as well. We try to do those types of things. Let the players see big events that are happening pretty early to get them kind of hooked into the area.
One of the interiors we have Xyranium Labs is this big open mining facility. So you kind of get tunneled in through an elevator and you open up and all of a sudden it's like a huge kind of environment, but within a confined space. We're able to kind of get that feeling of almost epicness, but in a way that is still very explorable. Player doesn't get lost in there. They can find their way and discover like little goodies along the ways.
Well, again, I think a lot of what we're doing when we're building these more open spaces is we have a defined path that we want the player to go through. But, in true Obsidian game style, we allow players to go everywhere and kind of experience whatever they want. So, when we go in there, we work with the environment artists and the audio designers to really draw the player around, either through visual markers or interesting things that they're kind of hearing. And so that's really what we use to kind of softly pull the player through areas. But again, we know where we want the players to go, so we put the most interesting elements in the spaces that we want them to kind of walk to and walk towards.
We have this like decorative Art Nouveau touch kind of over everything, but we also kind of ground our technological reality as if it was still constructed in the early 20th century. With this, we're able to like kind of pull from areas of like the late Old West to almost World War I-esque items.
That's pretty fun.
Pulling the areas with like
old
these,
structures,
like,
old
ideas.
Ideas,
if so,
art.
If the player kind of goes through Dorado, they'll notice like a trench warfare line that is reminiscent of World War I. And if they go like a little further into like a town, they'll still kind of have that frontier colony vibe that we wanted to hit, not just with Game 1, but also push further with Game 2.
I mean, I think a cool thing with the setting in general is everything is very analog. Everything is very clunky is not the right word, but everything has like meat to it. Things are not sleek and small, and I think that's really cool. When you go through the world, you see that. You see lots of huge wires and pipes that come in and out of things that kind of show almost the internals of like how these things work. I think it's a very interesting thing, and we've kind of doubled down on that. And you can see that in a lot of our areas as well.
Well, I'll tell you a couple quick advantages of using Unreal Engine 5. One, we had limitations before with how many people can work within a certain area at a time. That's been way more freeform in how we are able to utilize the engine. So multiple people, designers, artists can be working that same area at one time without having to collaborate on top of each other. But the greatest advantage has been just the global illumination, real-time lighting, just being able to see and iterate on areas really fast has been just a game changer. Being able to quickly iterate is like just tantamount to like exploring creativity in a game like, especially like the Outer Worlds. If something just doesn't feel right, it's not working right, we can quickly prototype a change and see it in real time and play with it, and then get feedback from our game directors, our design directors, and we just run with it.
Daniel and Brandon are just a few of the folks who are making The Outer Worlds 2, and in the coming weeks, we'll have conversations about the retuned combat.
Cool. All right, let's check out the next video. I think they're going more RPG in Outer Worlds compared to the first one.
Series on The Outer Worlds 2, we talk with design director Matt Singh
means.
and lead systems designer Kyle Koenig from Obsidian about how the team expanded the ways in which you can build your character. Instead of the streamlined systems of the first game, The Outer Worlds 2 gives players more room to customize their build for specific playstyles and spec into the game's unique aspects with reworked stats, perks, and traits. The flaw system has been overhauled too, which we'll dive into with another video, but first, let's get into how this sequel is embracing its RPG roots.
Let's see it.
We really kind of focus down on making each individual level up and investment really important. We have combined a lot of the skills, but each one now has a much more significant impact per point. And we've significantly increased the number of perks we have with over 90 of them. Each of those perks requiring various skills to unlock. So as you invest in skills, it changes how you can invest in perks and leads you down many different paths for how you can build your character.
We really wanted to lean into kind of player synergies. So looking at how player traits, player skills, and perks can all infuse into interesting builds that play off of other systems. There's more than just traditional kind of my stealth-focused build or my combat-focused build or my speech-focused build. There's really a lot of blending of concepts, playing with other systems, and incorporating those into a pretty broad, unique kind of range of different player profiles that you could take. We have some kind of archetypes that we key into to make sure that they're well supported, but we're not prescriptive in the way that we want you to experiment, play with, mix and match stuff, and really experiment, make something unique for you.
Homicide always cheers me up.
When we moved away from the skill categories and went into deeper, just individual skills with more differences between them, the goal was to make it so players, when they're building these characters, they can really look at the difference between each skill and what the gameplay changes for them are. And by having them different, there's less confusion on when I should invest in one skill or the other. It's much more clearly, I want to be the player that's all about guns and using medical devices. I know which skills I really need to care about. By having them separated and not having individual groupings of them, it lets characters be more specialized. We still support jack of all trade characters, of course, but lets characters more easily specialize and have their playthrough be very much more catered towards that character.
One thing that we're really going for is,
I wonder how Respec is going to be a thing, if they're going to add it. I think it would be a good idea to have a Respec, but
having very clear distinctions between what do different skills do for your build, giving them a clear space to shine, and then being able to integrate them in the game in a lot of different ways. Not only just the specific bonuses that you get from investing in the skill, but the things that it unlocks for perks, the things that it unlocks within conversations. We even have stuff like observation skill. Hey, that actually unlocks new things in the world. Because you are a very observant player, you're actually going to pick up on things in the environment that you wouldn't have otherwise. Oh, you're high in observation? This secret door that other people may never even find is now gonna be something that's highlighted for you. And
they're going really D&D with this, aren't they? I like it. I think that creates a lot of good replay value.
You can interact with, and now you've found a new path because you are a more observant player. And so we have condensed the skills, clarified the gameplay spaces for them, so that we can key into those major differences between them.
My piety is the key.
As mentioned, we have a ton of different perks. The way we looked at them while designing them was to look at, okay, what are all the different modes of gameplay the player has? What are all the actions they can take, and how can we modify them? So we have tons of different examples, like a fun one is run and gun. So if you're a player that really wants to run around with shotguns and SMGs,
that's a crazy gun.
Rifle. So
All
if
right.
you're a player that really wants to run around with
Jesus.
shotguns and SMGs and rifles, you can have firewall sprinting or sliding. And that really opens up a whole new world for those weapons, as you don't need to be as stationary behind cover to use them. We have other perks that key into things like speech, where we use them in conversations, like Space Ranger, which lets you kind of live the space commander fantasy, where we interact with that in conversations all the time and let you kind of live that character. But it also grants you damage based off of your speech skill, letting skills progress in ways that are different than if you didn't take those perks.
We have a lot of perks that are kind of catered towards non-traditional play styles as well. We have a line for like psychopath players, right? We see people that want to go and just kill people in town and whatnot, and you're like,
Murder
oh,
hobos.
okay, if you want to do that, you can. But similarly with our perk system, hey, you want to do that? Lean into it. Take this perk psychopath, you'll get bonuses for it. Lean into it even further, you can take a serial killer perk that keys off of that and get some major bonuses for it. So again, we're looking for ways to incentivize the player to experiment with different builds, either traditional or non-traditional.
Exsanguination is an art. Where's the precision, the pride in their work? This is just embarrassing.
And I think it's fun to play with some of the builds where you're opting into things that may sound detrimental to like make your build more interesting. So like we've got some stuff for essentially like taking damage but then converting that into energy that can then be spent, right? And that can actually be really fun to play with, where you're like, okay, well then how do I construct a build where I'm actually incentivized to get in there and take damage so that I can then do other things effectively? And I really like those kinds of creative builds that allow you to play with that and convert something that might be negative into a positive aspect of your build.
So in character creation, there's also two additional things you select: your background, which
what
doesn't have any
about?
RPG stats associated with them. They're purely role-playing. We use them all the time in conversations as a way to further differentiate your characters from others. And then we also have traits, where we have positive and negative traits. So one of the things in Outer Worlds 1 that was kind of a key off of Fallout was you could have negative attributes, and that would be actively detrimental to your character, but hey, you get a few extra points to spend somewhere else. We have traits now where you have positive and negative traits, and you can select a positive trait, which grants you things like you get to tag an extra skill in conversations. If you're in character creation, because you're brilliant. Or you're brawny, you can run into someone and knock them down. And then you can select a negative trait to select a second positive trait.
It's good, a little balance.
The negative traits can be crazy things like...
I wonder if you can like select all the negative traits. I'm sure I can see people doing like playthroughs with all of it. That'd be pretty fun.
Your character is dumb, which of course has lots of conversation uses, but it locks off 5 skills that you can never put points
Just
into.
all negative traits, no positive traits. and see if you can beat the game.
So early on, you're just, those skills are not on the table for me. My character is going to be really into these two things only.
Don't worry. I'll just be here in my deepening puddle of blood.
One of the things that I think a lot of us on the team love about RPGs is the evolved story of your character as you play. It being the story of your character, not the story of the world as much. By limiting respec, we let you do it at the start of the game just as a way to, you tried a few things maybe you want to change after the beginning area. By removing respec, we really incentivize that experience to be your experience. If you're going through the game and you decide, hey, I really like using gadgets, maybe I should start investing in that. Those skill points are a part of your story. It's a part of...
No, I do not agree. I think that's a shit idea. Lots of video game developers have tried that. It is not a good idea. What if you mess up? What if you just want to test something out? What if you don't have enough skill points to test something out? So you want to try it here, but you regret it and you want to go down another path. So now you have to restart a totally new game to do this. Bad idea. Bad idea. I can already see people modding this part already. Ooh, the game was looking good so far. And this is the biggest hump that I'm seeing. And I do hope they do not go through with it. Just give us respec. Just give us the freedom. Let us decide whether or not we want to dive into this without respecing. Just give us the choice. Come on.
Your experience that no one else had. And I think that's really special about RPGs.
No!
Something that respec tends to lessen.
Bad idea. Bad idea.
Philosophy-wise, we really feel all of your choices should matter. They should be meaningful changes to your gameplay experience. And this is just one of those ways where we're asking you to lean in, make a choice, stick to it, and see.
Blood, buddy. Hey, this is an RPG. It's an RPG. People, there's so many mechanics in a game for an RPG. And it sounds like they're adding a ton of mechanics, right? So, we need the ability to be able to play around with our character to find something we really like. And if this game is going to be as expansive as they're saying and long gameplay, if you're 30 hours deep into a character and you suddenly decide, hey, pistols are ass and I want to go straight into assault rifles or that fucking multi-blaster, but I can't. Start up the new game, buddy.
See how that plays out in interesting and fun ways. Yes, you can experiment, you can play with it, but and you may find something that, like, try this out. I don't really like it too much.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you might want to load a save. You might want to do something a little different. You might want to try a different playthrough. But we really want those choices to feel meaningful.
If you're telling us to just reload the save before putting the skill point, sure, that's what we'll have to do. But why would you not make it easier for us to just respect anyways? Are you kidding me? Are you serious?
Meaningful, feel impactful to that player story.
Oh my god.
That and Kyle are a few of the people who have a hand in making the Outer Worlds too.
Oh god. The game was looking great. I'm not gonna lie, I am still looking forward to this game. I think it looks cool, it looks fun. I liked the Outer Worlds 1. Very good time. That, other than the barren looking fucking desert, which looked boring as hell, but the interior looks great. The only other issue I have right now is the lack of respec. Hey, even Assassin's Creed Shadows let you respec, and that was phenomenal because you can just like literally play around with your character because they have plenty of options in that game. Oh, it's not how I thought my morning would go. All right, guys. Like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. Do you think the respec thing is an issue? Maybe I'm just blowing it out of proportion, but you know what? I'm not. This is a personal preference. I love playing around with my characters and finding a build that works. So, I don't like this restriction. with an excuse of, oh, this is your special moment in the game. This is your personal character. This person is alive, and that's his life now. You cannot change it. Just kidding. Just reload the last save and just, fucking fix that shit. But, or, start a new game. That's gonna be stupid. Alright, guys. I'll see you later. Bye. 甘いおとぎの国君と会えた歪んだ世界偽りの幸せでも